Good morning and welcome to How to Make Flatbread in 5 Minutes. You will need a half cup of all-purpose flour. You will need about a half teaspoon of salt, and you will need a half of a cup of water. You want to put the salt into the flour, which I've already done, and you want to add your half of a cup of water to the flour and the salt mixture. Now take a fork and start mixing all of your flour and salt and water together. My apologies, I misspoke. You need 1 cup of flour to a half cup of water and a half teaspoon of salt. So when you start mixing it with your fork, it should start to look like this. Once your dough starts to come together, you want to take your hand and start rolling it into a ball, just like this. And please wash your hands. I know I say that all the time, but please, please, please wash your hands before you handle food. Your dough is definitely going to be sticky, and once it gets to sort of the sticky ball point, we're going to take it out of the bowl. We're going to put a little flour on our counter so it doesn't stick to our counter. Now you want the dough to be a little bit sticky. You don't want it to be dry. See how it's sort of still sticking to my hand and kind of sticking to the counter? So excited! Looks delish so far. Now instead of making plain flatbread this morning, I think I'm going to make some rosemary flatbread, but I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary just to give it some flavor. So I added about a tablespoon of dried rosemary to the dough, like I said, just to give it some flavor. Now I've rolled this into a nice ball. I'm going to cut my dough in half, so we have, we have 2 little balls, just like that. Now heat a heavy bottom pan on high heat, dry. You don't want to put any oil in the pan. Just make sure it's really hot. So I have my stove on about a 8 right now because you want to get it nice and hot before we place our flatbreads on the skillet. While you're waiting for your pan to heat up, you want to take your dough and you want to stretch it out, almost like a little pizza dough, like you're making little pizza. You can use a roller. I personally like my flatbreads a little bit thicker. I don't like them like tortillas. I like a little bit of chew, and I like them to be sort of soft in the middle. Okay, our pan is hot. Ready? See? And we're going to take our flatbread. It's not exactly round, but I don't care. We have it on our hot pan, and we're just going to wait about a minute or so for the first side to get brown, and we're going to flip it over. It's been about 45 seconds to a minute. So we're just going to flip this real quick because we don't want to burn that. As you can see, the color is changing slightly. And I can smell that rosemary just coming off of this bread, which smells delicious. Now we're going to flip this again because I don't want the other side to burn. And as you can see, it's definitely starting to cook. You can see these little brown spots in the flatbread. Oh, it looks delicious. And it smells wonderful. That looks terrific. It looks like it's done. I just off of the pan, and I'm going to make my other one. So we have one, and it looks fantastic. So we have our second one on. We're going to let this sit again for about a minute on each side, and then we're going to flip it again for about a minute on each side. The total will probably be about, I don't know, 3-4 minutes total, depending on how hot your pan is. Okay, we just finished our second flatbread, and voila! We have homemade 5-minute flatbread. This is so much fresher. Second of all, this has no preservatives in it, no chemicals, no additives. You saw what was in this flatbread. Flour, a little bit of salt, a little bit of fresh rosemary, and that was it. Oh, water. Anyway, so that's it. That's our flatbread. What I like to do is take a little bit of olive oil and put it in a little dipping dish. And now we're going to rip a piece of our flatbread off. Yum, look at that. Not too thin. Still has, looks like it's a little bit chewy. We're going to dip it in our olive oil. And remember, we put some rosemary in here, so we have the olive oil and rosemary, and we're going to taste it right now. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That is so good. You've got to try this. Oh, it's delicious. Have a beautiful day. Oh, God, that's delicious. Yum.